Welcome to Church Accounting, brought to you by the Alabama All Church Ministry Summit. My name is Philip Wall, and I'll be your presenter today. Since I will be speaking to you throughout this presentation, let me introduce myself by giving some background information. I am currently serving as the Georgia District Assemblies of God Secretary-Treasurer. I have worked in the district office since 1999 as a church ministries director and also as a church plant and revitalization director. Prior to working in the district office, I served as lead pastor for over 20 years in the District of Georgia. I graduated from Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida, and I was married in 1974 and have 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Our objectives today during this presentation are to discuss your church accounting needs and online giving, also to review a few of the many popular accounting softwares available, and out of that to determine or help you determine what might work best for your church. Are you ready? Well, let's get going. As we take on the first objective of discussing your church's accounting needs, I want to take a quick look at the subcategory of online giving. Online giving is one of the more important options you can provide your people to strengthen their ability to give to the local church. While there are many reasons, I'm only listing 4 for us to consider. One is COVID-19 and any other future crisis. Actually, the need for online giving pre-existed COVID-19. However, COVID-19 exposed weaknesses in churches who did not provide online giving for their people to give when the doors are shut or church life is not happening as normal. So this weakness that was exposed can be eradicated by online giving opportunities. Number 2, people don't carry cash as they did. So even when they show up to church to be able to be there when the offering plate is passed or during the offering time, very few people carry the cash that they did in days past. Number 3, people hardly carry checkbooks any longer. The ability to write checks at restaurants has long passed. Most restaurants will not allow checks to even be written, will not accept them. Grocery stores are more reluctant, and people just are out of the habit of carrying the checkbook. As you're aware, that the most common currency today are credit cards and debit cards, which leads to number 4. Credit cards and debit cards are accepted anytime, anywhere, almost any place, but especially online. So when you provide online giving, you can give your people the ability to give when they're on vacation, visiting relatives, homesick, or for many reasons or a variety of reasons that may keep them from attending a church service when the offering time is available to them. So keep this in mind, and I strongly suggest if you've not yet moved into an online giving platform, that you research this immediately and begin to move forward. As you consider an online giving platform, I have just 4 things I want to quickly mention that may help you. One is that there is a basic giving platform, which means a person can just enter their data and the amount they want to give and click submit, and that is what is transmitted to your account. Most platforms that just offer a basic giving oftentimes do not have a setup fee or a monthly contract or any other fees other than the transaction fees, which we'll discuss a little bit later. And for some churches, this is enough, just for a way for people to give. However, there are some who need more of a robust platform that allows the giver to be able to make choices about where those funds are going. So there are some more simplistic platforms that allow a few options, for example, like tithe or general offering or missions. This too is a more simple platform and allows limited number of fund options. Then there are those churches that need a more robust system, need something much stronger and allows multiple options on fund giving. They may have general tithe, they may have building fund, camp events, youth events, kids events, and the options just continue. So you can see that the larger you become or the more options you need, then the more robust the system, then probably higher the cost for the use. Then number 4, form capability. Some churches would benefit from having the ability to make forms for people to be able to register for events that the church might be hosting. Again, these are just 4 little basic facts for you to consider as you think through an online giving platform. After looking at 4 bullet points that can help determine how robust of an online giving platform your church might need, let's now turn our attention to cost. The first cost I want to talk about is a setup fee. Some companies require a setup fee, others do not. You might want to look at what a company that does require a setup fee, what they are offering. Do they have services that are valuable for your church? So this is just something to consider as you look at companies. Secondly, or monthly fees. Most companies do require some sort of monthly fee to use their services. It can range anywhere from $10 a month to $50 a month. There are some limited systems that do not charge a fee at all, but then again, their services are limited. Contracts. Most companies do not require a long-term contract to use their platform. Most of the time, it's month to month and can be canceled at any time. Now, this one is the one we're going to spend a little bit of time on, and it's called the transaction fees. This is where the company makes their money. The transaction fee is broken down usually in 2 ways. One, a charge percentage-wise, and then a fixed price per transaction. This percentage can vary anywhere from 2.5% to 3%. Sometimes can be a little more if your volume of use is really low. The fee, or the set fixed transaction fee, is usually anywhere from 10 cents to 30 cents per transaction. Well, let's just talk about what this actually means and what it looks like for your church. Let's say that you have a donor that gives $100, and the percentage that your church pays is 3%. So 3% of $100 is $3. Let's say the fixed price is 30 cents per transaction. That means that the total price that the church will pay to use their services for a $100 donation is $3.30 for that transaction. This particular price can vary. Again, it's largely due to the amount of volume that your church may use, but yet almost every online giving platform is going to require these percentages and fixed price. Now, some companies allow an optional, what they call convenience fee, which allows the donor to pay the cost for using the online services instead of the church. So pay attention to that. It may be something that you want to consider. Next thing to consider are text giving fees. Some companies include text giving as a part of their platform with no extra cost. And for some, it costs extra to use the text format. Text giving is becoming very popular, and if your church can work this in, I think that you would benefit from it greatly. Lastly, like anything else, look for hidden fees. When you look over the paperwork, make sure there's nothing embedded in the fine print. And that way you'll know that you won't get charged for something that you're not expecting. The last item that we will cover regarding online giving are the platforms themselves. I have listed here before you 8 different companies. I'm not endorsing these companies or by no means saying they're the only ones that you should look at. There are many companies available when it comes to online giving platforms. But these 8 are pretty popular and are worthy for you to check out as you are researching which one would work best for your church. Let me just give you the names: Tithely, Easy Tithe, Givelify, Gen Rush. Now, Gen Rush is a part of the Assemblies of God Credit Union. So you might check them out just because they understand how your church operates. Generosity, it's Lifeway. PayPal, Stripe, and Alexio. Again, these are only 8 companies, and there are many, many more that are worthy for you to check on. Now, I'm going to make available a PowerPoint presentation that you can download, or in a PDF file that you can also download, that you can be able to have these addresses for the websites and the company's names for use later on. I hope this is helpful for you. We're going to leave online giving platforms now and move on with the accounting, but just wanted to end up by giving you some possible options for your church to check on. Now we're going to move to the accounting software itself. In turning our attention to accounting software, let's answer the question why churches should invest in accounting software to start off with. 1, financial accountability is important for churches, even more so than for your average organization. 2, accountability, responsibility, and being a good steward are all Christ-like attributes that should be reflected in your church's finances. Digging a little bit deeper, let's look at 3 other things when it comes to answering that question. 1, it provides assurance. Providing an accurate statement of accounting for donations not only gives the donor assurance that their contributions are being used prudently, but it also protects your church by demonstrating how and when funds have been used. Secondly, budget planning. By understanding current financial positions, you are better able to plan for the future. Because the financial statement is a reflection of financial decisions, if there are budgetary discrepancies, they can be identified and corrected. Thirdly, obtaining financing. When it's time to borrow, you'll want your statements to reflect a healthy financial position. If they are incomplete or not in a standard format, you may not be considered a good lending candidate. So just recapping quickly, good software allows you to provide assurance to your donors that all the funds are being rightly tracked and transacted in a way that's healthy for the church. Secondly, the budget part. It allows the leadership to be able to look at the church and see how the funds are being spent and make good decisions about not only now but future based on accurate information. When it comes, or the time comes, that you might need to borrow funds from a lending institution, they expect your finances to be in a certain format. An online accounting software or accounting software does allow for it automatically can put in the correct form the way it should be, that a lender can understand and realize that the church is in a good position based on right accounting. These are pretty important factors to consider. Now that we've talked a little about how accounting software can help a church produce good financial statements that give assurances to the donors about how their money is being tracked. It can give good data to leaders that they can make wise budgeting decisions. And it can also give confidence to potential lenders about how the church is handling their finances. So accounting software is important. But now let's look at some items that would help determine which software might be best for your church. The first item we're going to look at is its most basic as you can get, standalone software. That says it all. When you buy the product, it does accounting, and that's all that you buy it for, and that's all the functionality you're going to get from it. Then you go to accounting software that's integrated with other add-ons. So you can have just the basic, and that's all you do, or you can begin to make your software more sophisticated and have add-ons that can help the church further. Well, what are these add-ons? What do they look like? Well, one is church management, or CRM, customer relation management, which means that you can incorporate or put in all the church's contacts, the attendees, the members, family members, and it keeps up good information and able to pull off directories and other information. So it can be a wealth of information about the people who attend or who are associated with your church. Payroll. Some churches are large enough that they need help with payroll. So you can do an add-in that helps produce the payroll for the church and prepare the statements or the forms that are needed for the Internal Revenue Service. Giving portal. Some add-ons, these software have add-ons that have a giving portal built into them that can allow people to contribute to your church online, and it automatically is integrated with the accounting software and goes ahead and put it into the fund that it's been designated for. So you can see that there's a whole lot of add-ons that can be purchased and a part of the accounting software, and then it becomes more complicated, more sophisticated. Then the decision has to be made about cloud versus on-premise or local. Now what this basically means is that is your software going to be maintained online or in the cloud? There are great advantages to this. One, the company that you provide your services will back up the material, so you always have backups. Two, it can be accessed from any place that there's a computer or online ability. So a person, especially during these COVID days, that might work more at home, can be able to do that. But again, if they go to church, they can take their laptop and they can also access it at church as well. You can purchase multiple users, meaning more than one person can access. So it provides ease of ability for people to be able to see that have been given the rights to see what's going on in the bookkeeping part. So cloud provides a lot of options. On-premise or local means that it's software that you download to your computer, and it's local to the computer that it's downloaded to. Now, if you're on a network, if you're a larger church and you have a server inside, and not many churches do, but if you did, then that could be expanded. But most churches do not have an in-house server. Therefore, the software is limited to the computer that it's downloaded to, so it becomes cloud versus the online premise or local. So you have to decide which is best for your church. Fund accounting is the next item to consider as you're looking at accounting software. Fund accounting is very important for churches and for nonprofits, but I'm speaking primarily to those who are interested in church software. So fund accounting is important. What is fund accounting? Fund accounting is an accounting method that groups assets and liabilities according to the specific purpose for which they are to be used. It keeps restricted and unrestricted funds separate for churches and nonprofits. Fund accounting is an accounting system for recording resources whose use has been limited by the donor, grant authority, governing agency, and other individuals or organizations or by law. It emphasizes accountability rather than profitability and is used by nonprofit organizations. Fund accounting is what separates the different accounts that you may have in your church that still may be a part or associated with one checking account at a bank. For example, your church may have a general fund, may have a missions account, a building account, a youth account, a kids account. Some churches would have a much more elaborate setup for different accounts, and then even smaller churches may not have even that many. But the fact is that fund accounting allows each account to be able to be track their income for each one of those accounts, as well as their expenses, and still be a part of one checking account associated at a bank. Fund accounting is very important and very helpful for churches. Not all software allows for fund accounting. Not all accounting software is developed or produced for nonprofits. Now that we have talked about some of the items to help determine the accounting software your church might need, such as, do you just need the basic standalone, just a software to do the income and expenses to produce a financial statement? Or do you need something more complex that would have add-ons that can do much more than just the simple financial statement? Or do you do the cloud version to where all the data is backed up for you and can be accessed where internet's available? Or do you use the on-premise local version to where it's localized to the computer that it's downloaded to? So those are factors that can help you decide which is best for you. Now let's look and go and review some actual software and see what is available that you can begin to research. Let's take a look at some accounting software that you would like to consider. On the left-hand side, I have listed those that are least expensive, more user-friendly, but yet are very limited in functionality. Number one, just the basic paper ledger that people did for years in keeping accounting for their churches. It's low cost, very basic, easy, but then you have to manually produce financial statements and budgets. It also allows for errors and is not very transferable to a new person coming in and taking over the books. Quicken, which is very much like a check register. It's very easy to use, low cost, but again, it's not very functional. You could produce a financial statement from it and probably a budget as well. It does not allow for fund accounting. An Excel spreadsheet or one of its contemporaries you could use for low cost, fairly easy. It's digital. It would take some work, but you could produce a financial statement and budgets from an Excel sheet. QuickBooks, which is probably one of the more popular for small business use, is a good alternative. It does not allow for fund accounting, even though they do have a nonprofit version, but even their nonprofit version does not allow for fund accounting. It's not that user-friendly, but yet you can purchase it one time for your computer. Amplos, which is a user-friendly fund accounting software, but it's only online, and you can purchase it or you can do a monthly fee for just the accounting part. It does your financial statements, your budgeting, and again, it does have fund accounting. Those on the left-hand side are fairly user-friendly and somewhat lower in cost. On the right-hand side are companies that allow you to grow, to add on many modules, and can become pretty complex in what all they can accomplish. APLOS, which I listed on the left-hand side as well, has many modules you can add. It's strictly online, and it does allow for fund accounting. Flock Base, Fellowship One have been around for a little while, and yet Empower Church, which is listed a little bit below, not so easy and not so user-friendly. Realm, which is a product that ACMS has just produced, is much more user-friendly and probably is in the same category as APLOS and Alexio that you could use. They are fund, does allow for fund accounting, and yes, you can add on many other modules to grow with what your needs are. Alexio is another company, and again, fund accounting made for churches. And ACS and Shelby, much more complex, much not user-friendly at all. Now, the ones on the right-hand side, obviously the cost factor will go up. I'm going to extract from these the ones that I would probably recommend you look at first and give you the websites, addresses that you can go to and look at and research on your own. But I'm just letting you know there's a lot of accounting software available that has a lot of different options to meet your needs. After showing that there are many options for church accounting software available to you, let's look at a few things to consider that might narrow down that group to pick out a few to look at for your church. One, does the company offer a free trial? You want to be able to play with it, check what's under the hood to see how difficult it's going to be to learn. So a free trial is pretty important, and don't disregard that. Take advantage of that opportunity. What are the setup fees for the software? Are there ongoing monthly fees, and is there a contract? You have to know that if you're going to use the church management add-on, they normally charge based on the number of contacts that will be entered into the church management software. So know how that plays, and as your church grows, that might increase the cost for that particular component. Are there upgrades automatically, or do they charge for upgrades? Are there hidden costs? These are things you certainly want to consider. What is your budget? How much money do you have to put into church accounting software? What do you need? Do you need just the single accounting aspect, or do you need some other modules added on? So determine that before you contact these companies so you'll know and they won't be selling you things that you do not need. What is the learning curve for the software that you're looking at? And does the company offer support to help whoever's going to be doing the books to learn it better? Now, a few of these companies have online tutorials available, and they're very helpful. And so pay attention to what companies spend money to offer tutorials to better help whoever's going to be training to do the accounting software. Okay, let's narrow down the list to a few recommendations for you to start with. Number one, for small churches, I would recommend starting with Quicken. You can look it over. You can buy it one time, load it on your computer, no monthly fees, no startup fees, and it gives you basic functionality for accounting. It's not fund accounting, but it does allow you to be able to have a good system for accounting and to pull a financial profit loss statement and also a budgeting. Also for small church, and again, this does allow for fund accounting. It's a little more expensive, and it is, again, you can do a one-time download and put it on your computer with no monthly fees. and it does have options for add-ons. AMPLOS, I do recommend for small churches. However, it is not a one-time downloadable. It's a monthly fee. It's online or in the cloud, but it does have a very basic startup for small churches, and you can grow as the church grows into any size church, and it has add-on modules for a lot of different type of needs you might have. Alexio is the same way as AMPLOS. It's online or in the cloud, and it's not a one-time downloadable. Again, it grows with you, has add-ons. The same is true as RAM, which is ACMS, and so it just gives you something else to work with. The last one, I think AMPLOS really is the simplest, most user-friendly, in my opinion. Alexio probably is next. RAM might be the one following. PowerChurch is not so user-friendly, but it allows you, again, it's probably a cheaper version and allows you a lot of functionality and add-ons as well. I'm going to make this available again as a PowerPoint as well as a PDF file, so you can download it and look at these addresses and be able to access them at your convenience. I want to say that I appreciate your tuning in and looking at this presentation. I hope and pray that some part of it was helpful and that it gives you some starting points for your church as you look at church accounting software. Hope you have a wonderful day, and let's just all continue to pray that COVID-19 becomes history and not history remaking again. Thank you, and may God bless.